guys, and welcome to our virtual boat show series. Today's segment is all about commercial fishing regulations. Now, this has been a hot topic for quite some time, and there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of confusion, and we're here to try to help you weed your way through some of that and give you some answers that you can actually use so you know that you're going to be legal out there and you're going to have the equipment that you need. So there's a ton of different types of commercial fishing boats out there. Obviously a bunch of different fisheries, different locations all around the country, and there are a ton of different regulations that change with those different variables. So while we're going to give you a really good basic understanding of what you should be looking for Coast Guard regulations, we obviously can't cover every different scenario in this video. So if you have specific questions about your vessel and what you're doing and what the Coast Guard is going to be looking for, please contact us. Check us out at survivalatSea.com. Email us at sales@survivalatSea.com. We've got chat on the website. Phone number is 207-363-0220. Give us a call. We'll walk you through it. All right, so for our video, let's assume that we're fishing in New England somewhere, potentially in cold water, and let's compare the differences between a 30-foot state registered boat versus a 36-foot documented boat, and we'll see what the differences are in safety equipment requirements. First, let's start with life rafts. So on our 36-foot documented boat fishing in New England year-round with 4 people on board, there's going to be a different life raft requirement depending on how far from shore we're fishing. So out to 12 miles, the correct type of life raft that you will need is at least an IBA, or inflatable buoyant apparatus. Now that's your most basic type of commercial life raft. It's basically just 2 buoyancy tubes, no canopy, very basic equipment, and it can be packed in either a valise, which is the bag style, or in a hard container, which is like the fiberglass container you'd mount out on the roof somewhere. So that gets you out to 12 miles. If you want to go beyond 12 miles, the next jump is a coastal raft. It's going to be basically the same as an IBA, but it's going to have a self-erecting canopy on top. So when the life raft inflates, a canopy automatically pops up over you, keeps you a little bit more protected. A coastal raft does not have an insulated floor, and it's got the same equipment as an IBA. So really basic stuff, just like a foot pump, some paddles, a flashlight, and a little repair kit. That's basically it. So that will get you out to 20 miles on our 36-foot documented boat. So if you need to go beyond 20 miles, then you're going to jump up into a U.S. Coast Guard approved SOLAS B life raft. Now a SOLAS life raft is going to look very similar to a coastal raft on the outside, but you're going to get an insulated layer on the floor, and you're going to get a lot more equipment packed in the equipment pack. So you're going to get some flares, you're going to get a first aid kit, seasick tablets, some other stuff like that. So you can stay offshore a little bit longer and survive a little bit longer in colder water with the insulated floor. So that SOLAS B pack gets you out to 50 miles on a documented boat. If you need to go beyond 50 miles, then you jump up to a SOLAS A life raft. The life raft itself is exactly the same as a SOLAS B, except you get additional equipment in the equipment pack. So you get twice the amount of flares in there, and you also get food and water rations for everybody on the life raft, so for the whole capacity. So for our scenario, with our 36-foot documented boat with 4 people on board, if we wanted to go beyond 50 miles, then we're going to need a 4-person SOLAS A life raft. Now a SOLAS life raft is only available in a hard container, so you have to mount it outside. You cannot get a SOLAS A or a SOLAS B life raft in a valise. If you're looking around online or shopping and you see a SOLAS B life raft in a valise, it's not a U.S. Coast Guard approved raft. There are some SOLAS B equipment packs that you can get in other life rafts, like ISO approved rafts or recreational life rafts, but you cannot get a U.S. Coast Guard SOLAS approved life raft in a valise. It's got to be in a container. Now let's look at our 30-foot state registered boat fishing with 4 people on board in the same locations as our 36-foot documented boat. Let's look at life rafts first. So out to 12 miles is the same. It's an inflatable buoyant apparatus, or IBA. And once again, you can get it in a valise or a hard container. Now the difference with a state registered boat is you can keep going beyond 12 miles with that same IBA. In fact, you can go as far from shore as you want on a state registered boat with your IBA, as long as you're not going into international waters. So I know it doesn't make any sense that our 30-foot state registered boat and our 36-foot documented boat can be fishing in the same exact spots, and the life raft requirements are different for either one. And that's actually something that the Coast Guard has been talking about changing for a long time, and it honestly just hasn't happened yet. We're not sure when it's going to happen, but eventually they're saying that all boats will have to follow the same rules as the documented boat. So you would get that IBA out to 12, coastal to 20, SOLAS B to 50, and SOLAS A beyond that. But for now, and for the foreseeable future, state registered boats and documented boats do follow different safety regulations for safety equipment on board. Now, for the rest of the safety equipment that's required, there aren't really as many differences between the state registered and a documented boat, other than a documented boat will be required to carry additional things. But for the most part, the biggest difference between state registered and documented is the type of life raft that you're required to carry on board. So let's take a look at the rest of the equipment that you're going to be required to carry on board a commercial fishing vessel. And it's pretty similar between state registered and documented boats. And let's start with an EPIRB. So you are going to be required to carry an EPIRB on board, whether you're state registered or documented. And the difference between EPIRB types is not going to make a difference if you're state registered or documented. It's going to make a difference on the length of your boat. So if your boat is less than 36 feet long, you can use a Category 2 EPIRB, which is in a manual release bracket. If your boat is 36 feet or longer, you're going to be required to carry a Category 1 EPIRB, which is going to be in a white housing that gets mounted on your roof. So a Category 1 EPIRB will float free if your boat sinks. Now, if you are curious about that, you want to learn more, make sure you check out our video all about emergency beacons, where we talk about EPIRBs and PLBs, AIS beacons, and OLAS. You can learn all about that stuff there. So the next big item is going to be your life ring. And for the most part, you're going to be required to carry a 24-inch orange life ring with reflective tape. Can't be white, can't be orange without reflective tape. It's got to be 24-inch orange with reflective tape. Until your boat gets to a certain size, then you'll have to jump to a 30-inch life ring. But for the majority of people out there, it's going to be a 24-inch life ring. You also need to have at least 60 feet of line attached to your life ring. So we normally sell a rope bag like this that keeps all of your line all nice and tidy inside the bag. You just tie the end to your life ring, and then you're good to go. You're legal, and you don't have a big coil of rope hanging around on the boat. So next up, you're going to be required to carry a commercial flare kit. If you're operating beyond 3 miles out to 50 miles, you'll need a 3 to 50 mile commercial flare kit. If you're going beyond 50 miles, you'll need a 50 plus kit. And the difference in there is not the number of flares, it's the type of flare. A 3 to 50 kit has Coast Guard only approved flares, and a 50 plus kit jumps up to SOLAS approved flares. And the most notable difference is that the smoke flares in the 50 plus are floating smokes, so you can actually activate them, throw them overboard, and they'll float and release smoke for 3 minutes. In the Coast Guard kit, or the 3 to 50, they're handheld smoke flares. Other than that, the performance is just better for the SOLAS flares, better for offshore, but the same quantity of flares. 3 parachute flares, 3 smoke flares, and 6 handheld flares in both kits. So depending on your exact specifications and where you're operating, all those other variables, you may be required to carry a first aid kit on board, like this one that you can mount somewhere, and it's got enough first aid supplies for everyone on board. So finally, we come to life jackets and survival suits. So if you're in New England and you're fishing early in the summer or late into the fall, and definitely year-round, you're going to be required to carry survival suits on board for everybody that's on board. Now, there's 2 different types of survival suits that you're going to see out there. There's a Coast Guard only approved, and there's a Coast Guard SOLAS approved. If you're fishing in domestic waters, you do not need a SOLAS approved survival suit. You need a Coast Guard approved survival suit. And the biggest difference is they're going to look exactly the same, but this is actually a Coast Guard approved suit here. If this was a SOLAS suit, it would have a strap around the middle with a lifting harness, so you could lift somebody out of the water with a crane or tackle or something like that. And the other difference is it would have a buddy line attached to the arm. Other than that, for the most part, the suits are identical between Coast Guard and SOLAS approved. So don't think that you need to buy a SOLAS approved suit because you're commercial fishing. A lot of people make that mistake and they spend the extra money It's a big price difference between Coast Guard only and SOLAS approved. But again, if you want that lifting strap and you want the buddy line, you want to be a little extra safe, then the SOLAS suit is a great option. So those are really the core items that you're going to be required to carry on your commercial fishing vessel. It's the life raft, the flares, the EPIRB, life ring, and survival suits or life jackets. The rest of the stuff you're probably already going to have on your boat, like fire extinguishers. There's some placards like no discharge of oil, no dumping garbage, report all injuries that you might need to get. You do have to have a Coast Guard approved light on every immersion suit and life jacket that you have on board. But those are the core items for both state registered and documented boats. And once again, the life raft is going to be the biggest difference between the two. Now, there are a lot more requirements on documented boats other than safety equipment that you're going to have to deal with if you're looking at becoming a commercial fishing vessel. And we can help you look at some of those items if you contact us directly. There's just way too many to go over in this video. Now, one of our specialties is doing package deals for all this equipment. So if you come to us and say, hey, I've got a 32-foot state registered boat, I want to fish out to 50 miles, what do I need? We'll package everything up for you, give you a discounted package deal. So one of the other things to remember if you're just thinking about getting started in a commercial fishing vessel, maybe getting a tuna permit, is that your life raft particularly needs to be serviced. And a commercial life raft is going to be good for 2 years when it's brand new, when you first buy it. And then it's going to need annual inspection every year after that. So that could be pretty expensive to keep up with that. And if you're not prepared for that, it can be a shock when you bring it in the first time for service. So the good news is we do that here. We have a service station in York, Maine. We have another shop in Belfast, Maine. And we have pickup and drop-off locations throughout New England. So we make it easy and we do that for you. But you need to be prepared that that's an ongoing expense if you start to get into this commercial fishing world and you want to have all this equipment. Other things to remember, your flares are going to expire every 3 years. Your new EPIRBs, thankfully, now most of them have 10-year batteries now, so there's less upkeep with that. And those are the big things that you're going to have to keep up with and keep replaced and keep up with service. All right, guys, that does it for our segment on commercial fishing vessel safety regulations. And again, that's just a really basic overview and a look at some examples there. There's so many different variables and so many different situations that we can't possibly cover all of those. So please make sure you contact us with your specific situation and we'll help you figure out the exact equipment that you need for your vessel. And the final word is really going to come down to your Coast Guard examiner, and they're going to tell you exactly what you need on board. But we can definitely help you get there. We'll help you get set up, and we'll get you a package deal and get you going for the best price possible, and we'll take care of you guys. So make sure you check us out at survivalatSea.com. Call us 207-363-0220. Chat with us on our website. Email us sales@survivalatSea.com. Also check us out at virtualnewenglandboatshow.com. You can check out our other videos and sign up for our mailing list there to stay in the loop on all this stuff. All right, thanks a lot, guys.